Welcome to Sneaking Into the Movies Classic. I'm Max Nathan.
And I'm Norman Davis.
And this is a new series we've got cooking up where we watch a classic movie for the first time and give you our thoughts on it. If you ever wanted to hear two 20-year-olds watch some classic movies for the first time, this is your show. And today, we have Lady Bird. Greta Gerwig's 2017, I'd call modern classic, wouldn't you say, Norman?
That was going to be my opening point. This is a modern classic by definition, and I'll be happy to explain more when we get to it.
You can just get right into it, honestly.
Yeah, I think this is a modern classic. Like Max just said, we're both in our early 20s. I think this came out right at the perfect time for my generation. I think it's kind of defined teenagers in our time better than most films have. Obviously, we grew up with different kind of teenager movies like Perks of Wallflower, super bad movies like that. But I think this really captured what it feels like to be a teenager kind of now, which is interesting because it doesn't really take place now. But
yeah. It takes place in 2002. It's a period piece.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting to see more and more movies coming out. This came out in 2017, obviously, but we had Dee Dee this past year, which is a period piece from the mid-2000s. So it's interesting to kind of see...
Y2K.
Yeah, that too. It's interesting to kind of see that period of time that we grew up in realized in film. It's kind of, I guess, unprecedented because, of the times. But yeah, that's kind of an interesting, cool thing to be living through at the moment. So yeah, Norman, what do you think of Lady Bird, and what's your relationship to the movie? Where did you first see it? I said I started the show with... we're watching classics for the first time. I saw this for the first time this week. Norman, I know you've seen it before. Where did you see it first?
A couple times. I saw it when it came out.
Okay.
Back in 2017. I think it was a freshman in high school.
Yep.
I remember liking it. I didn't love it. I honestly think I was just a little too young to totally get it. Just kind of all the teen angst that feels so real and drives this movie. But I watched it a couple times since. Watched it with my sisters. Watched it on my own. And I like it a lot. It's not my favorite of Greta's work. I still think it's great. Like I said, I think it is like a defining movie of our time. Something like super bad in a way. That's just something I feel like people our age will take forever and show their kids, and the kids of the next generation will watch it and appreciate it and be like, wow, this is what it's really like. Because of how good it is, but also there's a lot of young talent in this movie that have gone on to do a lot of bigger things.
Yeah, it's a crazy cast looking back.
It is a crazy cast looking back. Timothy Chalamet, like in a supporting role, like the idea of that now is so far removed.
Like
when this movie came out,
background role, honestly.
Yeah, and now he's Paul Atreides, he's Lisa Nangayev, he's starring in movies that are making hundreds of millions of dollars. But yeah, I think this kind of like perfectly encapsulates what it's like to be a teenager, that angst, that feeling that every single little thing you do wrong is the end of the world. That's it. No going back from it. I really do like this movie a lot. I think, like I said, it set a lot of great actors on a great path. Greta Gerwig is a fantastic director. I love both her movies that came after this, but this was an incredible directorial debut for my money.
Definitely. Yeah. Like I said, I just saw it for the first time this week. I didn't see it when it came out, although I probably should have. It's been a big blind spot for a long time. And my girlfriend Natasha kind of sat me down this week and said, we got to watch Lady Bird. And I said, okay. Not like I had any apprehension to watching it, but she put her foot down and said, we're watching this tonight. Sure. And I was like, cool. Okay. And I watched it last week. I just watched it again for the podcast to really, get it fresh in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it when I saw it earlier in the week. I liked it more when I just finished it a second time. That usually happens with good movies, I feel like. But
yeah, this one took honestly a couple of years to grow on me. So
yeah. So you didn't. Yeah, I was gonna mention that. You mentioned that you didn't really get it when you were a freshman in high school, and I think that kind of makes a lot of sense because so many of the you kind of need to like live some life to really understand the emotions and where some of the characters are at in this movie. Um, so many of the characters in this movie are like depressed and like legit depressed.
Yeah.
They're I noticed that um, a lot of the characters that really do get a lot of the heavy emotional scenes are pretty isolated. Um, like Stephen McKinley Henderson's character. Um, and we don't, it's, gossip we hear at the beginning, but so who knows if like how much of that story that girl tells is even true, but it's stated in the movie that he had a son who might have committed suicide with drugs, and now he's uh, the school. What do you call that position? School play theater teacher.
Yeah, theater teacher, theater
Yeah,
director.
and he's the theater director, and he has a great line that we'll get to later during one of our segments here, but um, yeah, that character is the kind of character that I think, um, I guess, I I can't say that I've experienced like something to the degree of what the character in that movie is implied to experience, but it hits a little harder having experienced life further than high school, I guess I should say, and the challenges that life can throw at you.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
but yeah, no, it's it's really really good. Um, I really liked it, and it hits different when I guess you know you've experienced some of the things in the movie that the or experienced some of the things that the characters in the movie have experienced, I guess.
Yeah, I think this movie just has like such just feels so natural and real, especially the dialogue, um, like just the relationships, you know. Um, like this isn't something you kind of watch for the plot. It has a good plot, don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I compare it to something like I don't know why I keep coming back to Superbad here for coming of age movie. I just think it's a good one. It's a lot more ridiculous or whatever, but
Yeah,
that movie's a lot more plot focused. As funny and great as everything in that is, it's like about trying to buy alcohol. This is obviously about like growing up and getting ready for college and all of that, but it's really just about the relationships we kind of have at that age, how we like perceive ourselves, how we think other people perceive us when you are a teenager and everything is awful and terrible and you can't do a single thing right. It's like the worst time. Um, but yeah, I just think this movie feels so real. Um, like it was written by a 17-year-old or something. I don't know.
honestly, yeah. I found that I could relate to several of the characters in this movie, but especially Lady Bird. Um, at honestly, I could probably empathize the probably younger than high school version of Max could empathize with Lady Bird a little more uh, than now, but yeah, I empathize with that character a ton. Um, and even like Kyle, the Chalamet character, like
Yeah.
when like he has that line where he's talking about like the cell phones and like, oh, they're gonna put trackers in our brains. I'm like, oh god, I fucking sound like that shit sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's that's just how it is. Um, and yeah, what are some of your favorite moments from the movie, Norman?
My favorite moments. I just really everything with her and her mom.
Yeah,
I don't know, but this one's kind of hard. Like I don't particularly have like moments I love. It's just I love these characters so much in this movie. So everything, yeah, with Timmy because he's got Kyle. I guess he's barely in this, but he's awesome in this. Um, all of her conversations with Father Leviach, butchered that totally, but Stephen McKinley Henderson's character.
yeah.
Um, those are some of the big highlights for me. What are some of yours favorites?
Definitely. I think all of that is really really great, And also shout out to Tracy Letts, who plays Lady Bird's father. There's a lot of really good stuff with
Yeah,
him.
he's great.
Um, and he's kind of yeah. There's a good bit about how Lady Bird learning how her father is depressed, and she's you can see that she's pretty devastated by that, and she was kind of oblivious to it. But all the signs are kind of there, and it's like kind of how like you pick up certain things like over the course of your childhood. I guess like I haven't seen it, but people have talked about like After Sun being very similar to like that kind of thing.
Uh,
Um,
That's what After Sun's all about.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Um,
another movie I have to watch, but yeah,
but yeah, it does really capture that feeling of like when you're young and you find out these things about your parents or aunts or grandparents or loved ones, these, I guess, more adult things, and this like frustration. What can I do about this? Like, am I at fault for this? And you get a little older and you just be as supportive as you can. Um, like I said, I just think this movie feels so incredibly refreshing and real. It feels like kind of just get plopped into Lady Bird's world. And obviously, there's a new characters first time you watch it, but it all still feels so familiar and like comfortable, but uncomfortable in the sense that like you're an awkward teenager. But yeah, I think this movie is great. I think it has already become a modern day classic. That's why it's the first movie we're covering here on our classic section of the podcast. But yeah, I only see this movie kind of just growing with time. It's something, even though I'll find it less relatable, but maybe even more relatable. But it's something I think
yeah.
I'll just kind of always come back to
I
every
think
once in a while. Check on my friend Ladybird.
I think that's kind of what makes it a classic or defines a classic is will it stand the test of time? And I think it will. It's pretty universal. It takes place in 2002 and it came out in 2017, but it feels just as relevant in 2024. Obviously, not that much time has passed. That's uh,
About
seven,
7 years.
7 years. Um, but yeah, it's just as relevant today, I think, as it was in 2017. But yeah, you want to actually wait? No, I had some other thoughts here.
Sure.
I was gonna move in too hasty to the segments, but I wanted to mention the JV football coach teaching becoming
Oh my god.
the play director. These lines are singing like it's so good, so
Yeah.
funny. Um, the Lucas Hedges character is really, really, really it creates a lot of great situations. Like when like Lady Bird and him hug, obviously, when he's saying like he's got to figure out how to tell his parents that he's gay, and like it's they hug and he cries, and it's a really great moment. The moment where they find him kissing the other guy in the bathroom is really, really funny.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Like just
definitely one of my highlights.
the reaction on Beanie Feldstein's face is like hilarious. And just the abruptness of that moment. You're like not expecting anything, and then literally like boom down the door busts down, and you get that in your face, and they're like, oh man. But yeah, no, great moment.
Yeah. Lucas
Uh,
Hedges, there's a good couple of years where he was kind of running kind of like teen dramas.
yeah,
I mean, he's in
he
this.
was
He was in Manchester by the Sea, which he's incredible in. He got an Oscar nomination for that. Uh, Mid '90s Honey Boy Waves,
damn.
like, yeah, all I think fantastic movies. Some of those I'd even almost say are modern day classics. Not to the extent of Lady Bird, but at least for me, those are all pretty big movies I watched in high school, kind of about growing up. And it's just kind of crazy he's in all of them. And he
Yeah.
kind of disappeared.
Hey, where is Lucas Hedges these days?
I don't know. I'm gonna open his IMDb here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
just
let's check on him, and I'll just run through some other of my thoughts while you look that up. But
um, he hasn't done anything I've heard of since Waves in 2019. Uh,
damn.
Looks like he took a couple of years off. He's in a movie next year called Sorry Baby. I'm not recognizing anyone else in this cast, but yeah, no, he's great in Lady Bird. He's great in all these movies. yeah, just a crazy solid cast. Just Greta was kind of looking in the future.
Yeah.
Obviously, you mentioned Beanie Feldstein too. She was in Booksmart right around the same time. Another good movie that I feel like this got a lot compared to. More recently, she popped up in Drive-Away Dolls, which I didn't know she was going to be in that,
Yeah.
so I was kind of surprised. But I was like, hey, I haven't seen you in a while.
I didn't see that. Did you like it? I heard mixed things.
Drive-Away Dolls, yeah, I had a good time. Didn't blow me away or anything. I thought it was funny. It was it was actually, it was very funny. Um, I haven't watched it since. It has a great cast, but it was a lot of fun.
Okay. Yeah, I think I gotta watch that too. Um, but yeah, what do you think was your? I don't know if you can think of something off the top of your head, but what do you think is the line of the movie?
I'm gonna have to think for a second. I may steal one of yours. You
Okay.
tell me yours first.
Okay. I think there's a lot to pick from. I wrote a lot of them down. Um, I think uh, there's a few that I really really like "You better not snitch or I'll kill your fucking family." And
That's a good one.
Timmy
Yeah,
says back, "My dad has cancer, so I guess God's doing that for us." Um, yeah, that just a really funny line. Um, it's it's really really funny. And yeah, no, I've said shit like that, like I'll kill your fucking family, and then it never goes well. You over overdo that as a
yeah,
kid. Um, but yeah. Um, some other lines. Oh, I really like them stopping at Lucas Hedges' grandma's house. They stop in front of a Reagan poster, and Lady Bird is like, "Is this for real?" And she's laughing about it. And Lucas Hedges is kind of laughing about it too for a second. And then he gets
hmm
really serious for a second. And there's like a long pause. And he's like, yeah. Um, it's like a little moment that can, I don't know. There's like a lot there in that little moment um, for that Lucas Hedges character. Um, I think um, different things can be sad. It's not all war. Lady Bird says when she's mad at Timmy in the bedroom when he's
yeah.
like, waxing poetic about the people in Iraq and all that stuff. And then the line that I think is the line of the movie is, and this is a meme too. Um, is Stephen McKinley Henderson's character saying they didn't get it after the
Yeah,
play? Um, yeah. What do you think of your line of the movie? Is it that one?
it might be that one. There's one here. Some people aren't really built happy. Um,
Yeah, yeah. That's the Beanie Feldstein
yeah,
character.
Julie says that. That one kind of stuck with me, but I might have to steal yours. Yeah, just they didn't get it is perfect, and yeah, it has become a meme. It's something I just kind of unironically say now when I see something like ambulance or something that no one liked, but I got it. It was made for me. They didn't get it, so that's a good one. But yeah, this is a very quotable movie, very funny movie. Obviously,
Definitely.
just any line between Kyle and Lady Bird
Yep.
when they're in bed is so funny.
Yep.
And just
Who the fuck is on top their first
yeah, who
time?
the fuck is on? I was about to say that one. Yeah,
um,
I wanted to be special. You're gonna have so
yeah.
much more or unspecial sex for the rest of your life, something like that.
Yep.
But yeah, just a really really good movie. This is a
Tim.
great pick for first of sneaking in the classics.
Yeah.
Because I think obviously in modern times it is hard to define what is a modern day classic. There's a couple more I could probably think of off the top of my head, but it's hard, especially with us where we watch so many movies that a lot of people don't see. Because I'd call like The Lighthouse a modern classic, but
Yeah.
you put 10 people in a room, maybe three of them have seen it. But something like this, I really do think it's a modern classic.
No,
And
yeah, the reason the main reason why I was really comfortable with this being the first one is because it seems to be so popular among people our age. Um this is a movie directed by Greta Gerwig, who went on to direct Little Women and Barbie, like movies that were very, very popular. And I think a lot of that is due to the success of Lady Bird and her developing that following over time. All those movies are great movies in their own right, but the avalanche effect is definitely, you can definitely make an argument for it there.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean that was the main reason I was excited for Barbie. That it was
yeah,
Greta Gerwig, obviously, because she went 2 for 2 before it. Um, Obviously, yeah, this kickstarted a great career for her. She's going on to make some Narnia movies. Not really my thing, but that's what she wants to do. That's what
hey,
she
we'll
wants to
see.
do.
We'll see.
Yeah, we will see. Um, but yeah, I guess you said you have not seen Little Women, right?
I have.
Oh,
I
you have. Right,
I
right, right.
watched it like last year,
Okay. How would
and
you feel comfortable ranking Greta's 3 movies?
yeah.
By the
Uh,
way,
what's up?
or even if we don't, I think we could argue all 3 of these movies in some way are modern classics. I'd say Little Women to less of a degree, but I think Barbie seems like it may be on that way.
It's kind of yeah. It's kind of like the normie pick, I guess. But like Barbie's easily my favorite of the three.
Okay.
Um, and I think I would say Lady Bird and then Little Women. And I haven't seen Frances Ha. Did she write and direct that?
No, that's Noah Baumbach.
Okay, my bad. Never mind.
Um,
Um,
Another good movie though.
yeah.
What a power
Um,
couple they are.
yep. I still haven't seen White Noise. Did you watch that?
I thought White Noise was fan. Speaking of, they didn't get it.
Yeah.
I thought White Noise was fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah, I loved White Noise. I saw that in theaters because that was a Netflix movie that came to theaters for like a
Yeah.
week. I watched it. I loved it. The day it was on Netflix, I watched it again. I
Damn.
think it's great. I kind of not really understand why people didn't like it. Um,
Maybe because they saw it on Netflix.
Maybe because they saw it on Netflix. It played really well in the theater. It's a very funny, unserious movie for
Yeah.
all the serious things it tackles. So
Yeah. I just wanted to mention another great line quickly before we move on, but
sure.
Timmy saying, I try not to participate in our
Yeah.
economy. That's another good one. It's another banger. Um, but yeah, moving on to our next little segment here. Could you make this today? This came out in 2017. This is more for sneaking into the classics is going to span a wide range of time, and we're going to look at some movies that are really, really old, and that's going to apply more to those movies. But Norman, could you make this today in the year 2025?
Would it still take place in 2002, or are we talking this takes place in 2025?
It still takes place in 2002. Just the movie as it is. Could you make this exact same movie today? And or
Probably.
would you have to change anything?
Probably make it the exact same way. I feel like this movie kind of spawned a lot of movies like this. So if anything, I feel like it would feel a little less original.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is an easy yes. Obviously, yeah, like you said, this
Yeah,
question will make a lot more sense when we cover some older classics. But yeah, I don't think much would change if this came out this year.
definitely. I agree. Um,
It probably actually, you know what? It wouldn't come out in theaters. Probably be on
yeah,
Netflix or something.
yeah,
That's probably the only thing, which is pretty depressing, but that's where
that
we are.
blows. Yeah, no. Lady Bird Netflix original. Oof. Oof.
Dicks. And
Maybe
Narnia.
it could have. I mean, it's an A24 movie, so maybe it could have gone that route. Maybe it would have been in a lot less theaters than it was. Maybe it wouldn't have been able to achieve the modern classic status that it has because not a lot of people would have went or would have seen it. Um,
Maybe people started watching in like April of last year, and we still couldn't see it for some reason. Looking
yeah.
at you, the brutalist, Sing Sing, A24, release your movies. I'll pay
Yeah.
to see them, I promise.
Yeah.
I don't want to pirate your stuff, but I can't see these movies.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to do the dirty work.
Don't make him do it.
Don't make me do it. I'll do it. I promise. I've done it before.
Yeah. Um. But yeah, no. We're both seeing The Brutalist this week, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Thank God. It's about damn
Thank
time.
God, it is about 10 time.
Um.
I don't remember. Did you answer? Could you make this movie today?
I said I agree. I think yeah, obviously you
Yeah.
can pretty much do everything that they did in 2017 and 2025. Um, but yeah, that's what I think about that. Our next little question here would be who would play the lead role if this were made today? I think similar to the last question. I mean, Saoirse is 30 now, I believe, but like I don't know who you would get to play Lady Bird. Other like she owns it. Like I don't.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. I think it's awkward with this one because every actor is a little too old to play a high schooler now.
Yeah, most of the actors you
Timothy
would
Chalamet would
find.
never be five string in a movie again, so
No.
that we'd lose Kyle in the way of Kyle, which I don't know if I could live with. But I have no idea who else I would cast. I think she is so good in this movie. I've never even thought about picturing someone else in this role.
Yeah, the thing about coming of age movies and movies with younger actors is that we didn't have in 2017 like an awareness that Saoirse Ronan was this amazing actress. She kind of just came on in this movie. She had done work prior, but she wasn't the Saoirse Ronan that we know today. Um, this movie sort of created that, and Timothy Chalamet is like the five string, as you said, and Beanie Feldstein's the side character who went in. You know, Beanie Feldstein obviously did Booksmart and a bunch of things, but for these movies with like younger actors, it's kind of hard to predict that. So I think I would just say Saoirse owns it. So and just
Definitely.
leave it there. But yeah, no. Should it have won Best Picture? The nominees that year, I'll read them off for you, are The Shape of Water won that year. Call Me by Your Name was nominated. Darkest Hour was nominated. Dunkirk, Get Out, Lady Bird, The Post, Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, and Phantom Thread. I think I know where you're gonna go with that one, but yeah, should it have won Best Picture?
I've been talking very good about Lady Bird this whole podcast. I think it's a great, great movie, one of the defining works of our time. That being said, there's a couple movies on this list I'd put above for Best Picture. I do enjoy The Shape of Water more. I really like that movie. Um, Phantom Thread for me. I don't know if that's what you're referencing.
That is what I
Yeah,
was insinuating.
that easily takes the cake for me. That's a modern classic for my money. Obviously, like we said, they didn't get it. It's not a modern classic for everyone. Um, you know what is a modern classic for everyone? Get Out.
Yes, that is the one that I personally would pick for that year. Uh, but I kind of like I haven't seen it, but I kind of like the Shape of Water one. I've been having a lot of conversations with people this week about the Oscars and like um sort of surrounding the absence of Dune 2 at the Oscars, and I kind of come back to my philosophy of like I really don't think the Oscars should be a show about talking about all the most popular movies that year. Um if you know some really popular movies are deserving of awards, like that's totally cool, nominate them, but I kind of think the Oscars is as much an awards show about being fair and awarding the best things as it is about promoting the totality of cinema.
Sure.
And that's why I kind of think the most popular stuff shouldn't really win most of the time. Because when something like Parasite wins, which wouldn't have had as much recognition if not for the Best Picture win, that's like huge for a movie like that. And that movie has a chance to become a modern classic. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So that's kind of my take on like the Oscars awards. So like I personally would have picked Get Out that year. That was my favorite movie of that year. It's one of my favorite movies ever made. But I'm cool with The Shape of Water because Guillermo del Toro is awesome, and that's seems like a cool movie, I guess.
Yeah, it's a fantastic movie. It's one of his best. I think. Very cool that that movie won Best Picture. It was in very heavy competition, Lady Bird included. But yeah, I don't think I'd give it the old Best Picture here. What a great year this was, though. Damn,
Yeah,
there's a lot. This is like I Darkest Hour. That's the Winston Churchill one, right?
yeah, with Gary Oldman.
Yeah.
This
Other
is
than that, I could see any of these movies winning Best Picture, and I'd be like, that makes sense.
yeah, some other notable movies that came out in 2017 are A Ghost Story, um, Coco, Good Time,
The best Marvel movie ever made.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, I, Tanya, It Comes at Night, Alien Covenant, Blade Runner 2049, Logan. Was that the one you were talking about, or Guardians 2?
Guardians 2.
Okay. Yeah, but yeah, we're going to take a quick break here and then come back and finish off with some trivia. All right, we're back and we're talking trivia. So, um, Norman, did you know that Saoirse Ronan had done some stage work before the filming of this movie, and the heavy makeup combined with hot stage lights caused spontaneous acne eruptions? And rather than covering it up, makeup artists Jacqueline Knowlton and Saoirse Ronan convinced Greta Gerwig to leave it visible to differentiate the movie from most other coming of age dramas full of teenagers with perfect skin. Uh, did you know that?
I did not know that, but that makes a lot of sense. I think we spent a lot of this episode here talking about how real this movie felt, and I think it's little touches like that that you don't even notice that make it feel so much more real and lived in and make Lady Bird feel like a real character. So
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
that kind of thing seems like it would be a given for this kind of movie, but I guess it would be something that is um, not done very often. There's usually like you think of like coming of age movies, there's usually like one scene where a character like has a pimple or something like that and they pop it and it's gross and whatever, like
Yeah, it's the end of the world.
youth. Um but yeah, no, this is a pretty cool touch that makes the movie feel pretty authentic. That's kind of what I took away from the movie is like it feels so authentic. Like it feels so real.
Yeah,
Um More real than like most movies.
it doesn't feel like a movie, which I think a lot of coming of age stories specifically, um, they kind of got to fit this mold per se, or they kind of all do the same thing. That makes you feel like you're watching a movie, where like Lady Bird really feels like you're kind of watching someone's life happen rather than just
Yeah.
yeah. So it's cool.
I
Cool
think
little
have
tidbit.
you seen Didi from this year?
Did he?
Didi,
Oh,
not Diddy.
I was like, what the hell? I was like, I heard about him. Dee
uh,
Dee. I don't know. I haven't seen Dee Dee.
um, yeah, no, that's like a really good coming of age movie from this year. Kind of similar vibes. Um,
Interesting.
yeah, yeah,
All
that
right.
one was pretty good. Um, and yeah, that one's like mid 2000s, so there's like early YouTube stuff, and like
Oh,
it's pretty cool. That one's more for like people our age, I guess. This is for
I'll
people
have to
who are
tap
like,
in.
yeah, like people who are slightly older than us probably get like a real nostalgia kick from Lady Bird, but like
Yeah.
that was the year I was born. Uh,
2002?
yeah,
Yeah, same here.
yeah. So yeah, um, did you know that Greta Gerwig has said that she was the polar opposite of her lead character Lady Bird when she was growing up? She was straight laced and not at all rebellious.
I did not know that. That's also very interesting. Um,
Yeah,
what do you think that kind of says about the movie, I guess? Or I feel
I
like,
don't know because I thought watching the movie, I felt that it was somewhat autobiographical watching it. But looking at it from the perspective that Gerwig doesn't really think of herself as Lady Bird, um, it's kind of puts it in a different light than how I was thinking about it going in.
yeah, I think also just in high school, there's all these, no matter how rebellious and stupid you are, I'm not going to spend my time today talking about all the stupid shit I did in high school. But I feel like you always have this kind of yearning to be even more rebellious than you are.
Yeah, I
So maybe
think
that kind of plays into it because I wouldn't even say Lady Bird is like crazy, crazy rebellious or anything.
yeah,
Obviously, she is more rebellious than not. Um, just a little
yeah.
bit of stricter parents and stuff.
She feels like
Um,
normal teenager rebellious, not like movie teenager
yeah,
rebellious, I
not
guess.
like movie team or even like the people you went to high school with. Where you're like, yo, these people need to fucking chill.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no. She's just kind of like erratic and
Yeah, um,
I guess like
dyeing her hair and stuff. Like
yeah.
yeah. So
She's I mean that's part of the main theme of the movie I think is just like getting so caught up with the life that you think you're supposed to have without like instead of working with the one you got. Like she's
definitely,
constantly trying to like differentiate herself from her surroundings, and that obviously affects the people around her who sort of created the circumstances that she operates in. um and that's all really really well realized in the film. um but yeah. um did you know that Saoirse Ronan, who grew up in Ireland, shared that most of her knowledge about being an American high school student came from watching shows like Saved by the Bell and Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
I did not, but that is not too surprising. Um,
Yeah, that seems those are very popular shows around the time that she was growing up, probably.
yeah, definitely, and it feels like something someone at the time would watch and want to be more rebellious or be more like them.
Yeah,
These idealized teenagers that kind of you see on TV as a teenager. You're like, oh, they're so cool.
yeah,
So that
yeah.
makes sense.
Um, did you know that Ladybird costume designer April Napier discovered that while LA costume houses had clothes from the 50s to the 90s, they had nothing from the early 2000s? And she's quoted saying, "It was the age of throwaway fashion," she points out. Uh, Thanks, LA, for throwing out our childhood. But yeah, Norman, did you know that?
I did not, but that kind of makes sense. I feel like even obviously, I don't. I think neither of us are really fashion people here, but I feel like
We're
yeah,
so,
2000s was kind of throwaway fashion, and it was just kind of stuck there. That's either you're dressed like an asshole or you're wearing clothes from like the 90s.
yeah, yeah, I guess it's like a carryover from the 90s is what you'd think of. Like I think of like um I don't know, like 2000s. Like you think of I don't know. I don't know. I think of like pop punk type stuff.
Yeah, or like
Like like really dark clothing with like I don't know, bracelets or some accessories that are very colorful.
yeah,
Something like
some
that.
like
Yeah,
cartoon character, something on the shirt.
yeah.
Bart
Yeah,
Simpson
yeah,
fighting
yeah,
the
yeah,
Iraq
yeah.
War, like weird
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah. It's a weird time. It's a different time.
Yeah, but I also think that's another reason that this movie's so classic and serves so well to today because I feel like it's cool to dress like you're from the 80s and 90s now, or like going to thrift shops and getting some guy's old shirt that's just cool again. Or
Yeah.
like dad shoes from the 90s are cool and all that. So that's pretty neat, yeah. Rather than kind of dressing her as like what the richest, most popular kid would have in 2000. I don't know. I think
Yeah,
it. I think it was great. It ended up working out great for me, at least.
definitely. And there's not really that much, or at least that I gleaned from the movie. Like April Napier probably has a very different story of how the costume design manifested, but it doesn't seem like there was that much diversity in terms of like the outfits because you spend a lot of the movie at the school where they all wear uniforms.
Right.
Um, but yeah, that's kind of just yeah. Thanks LA for throwing out our childhood, I guess. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of it. Um, did you know that due to the film's core mother-daughter relationship, uh, Saoirse Ronan says, when people ask what I want audiences to take away from the movie, she says, I tell them I want them to call their moms.
No, it's a very sweet thing to say. I think that's. I could argue you could say that about all three of Greta's movies. I'd say less about Little Women, but that was one of my big takeaways from Barbie. Um,
Definitely, yeah.
yeah, kind of the mother daughter relationship.
Yeah,
Obviously,
like
I'm
the
a guy, so my relationship's different with my mom. But I get it. Like my that was like after we saw Barbie, that was like one of the first things my sister did was she called her mom or called our mom and said, you need to watch this movie. Like it
yeah,
just then yeah, it did kind of make me think of my mom and all that.
yeah,
So it's a very sweet thing to say.
definitely. Yeah. And that Barbie obviously climaxes with like the "What Was I Made For" song, and that whole thing is obviously very poignant for like mothers and daughters.
Yeah.
Um
Call your moms. They
yeah,
want to hear
call
from you.
call your mom today. Sneaking into the movies demands it so. Duolingo notification. Um did you know that Greta Gerwig wore a prom dress while shooting all of the prom scenes?
I'm going to be lame. I actually did already know this. So I don't know why you're telling me this.
Damn.
I'm
Damn.
just kidding. Um, but yeah, it's cool. This is something Greta Gerwig has done on all of her movies. In Little Women, she dressed for the time period every day. Barbie, obviously, all pink every day. Really cool. I just imagine it creates a great synergy for the set and just makes it more exciting to work. It shows how much she loves the stuff she does, even from Little Women, or not Little, or I guess Little Women, but even like Lady Bird, something that seems a lot more personable, but to the level of like Barbie, to where
Yeah.
it still feels that personal and important to her. Obviously, that's why that movie did so well. It was just really good. It seemed like she really cared about it with a movie that could have been awful. That probably should have been. It
Yeah.
probably would have been any other year with any other director. So
Yeah. And that movie looked very different at the beginning of its pre-production than it did at the end.
oh, for sure.
As all movies do, but um
A
yeah,
big
no.
studio movie about toys just sounds terrible.
Yeah.
But Barbie's great.
And
Big fan.
Barbie was originally going to be Amy Schumer, and that's all. You know.
Oi.
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 Oy vey, as they
Yeah,
say.
let's not talk about her anymore.
Yeah.
Um,
Um but yeah, it's cool that Greta Gerwig loves directing so much, and she is a great director. So we're gonna keep seeing these movies, Greta. Hopefully
even
Narnia is
if they're
good.
Narnia
Yeah,
for
we'll
Netflix.
probably
Blech.
watch Narnia. I mean, the trailer could come out, and we could have like a like a Snow White situation, and we'll go like, oh, okay, we're not watching that. But hopefully it doesn't look bad. Um, I have faith in Greta.
I
I
have
think,
faith in Greta. I just personally could not care less about Narnia.
yeah, I
I
don't
didn't really
really.
care when I was a kid, and now that I'm older, I definitely don't care. I have zero nostalgia towards those first movies. I used to watch them a lot. Um, but I've never once in my life been like, you know what? I need to get back on that Narnia.
Yeah, yeah, no, I have no nostalgia or attachment to the Narnia series. I haven't read any of the books. I don't know. I think I used to be scared of the lion or something. I don't know. Um,
Fair enough.
but yeah, what are you gonna do?
What are you
Um,
gonna do?
did you know that Greta Gerwig insisted that all of the characters keep secrets about their characters to themselves?
I did not know this. This is very cool. Also, like we've said a lot, I think it just lends to how lived in and real all these characters feel in the world. That like behind the scenes they're doing stuff like this. Just very cool. Just smart direction. I don't know how much more I can say about it, but
Yeah,
yeah,
it feels like that would get you in the zone as an actor, like as a teenager, gossiping and keeping secrets and that kind of thing. Um, but yeah, that's kind of been our Ladybird first episode of sneaking into the classics.
we have
Um,
one more segment called Norman's secret question for Max.
what is Norman's secret question for Max?
This is a new segment. Max didn't know about it until this second, just like y'all.
No,
But
I'm
my
scared.
question this week, revolving Ladybird, is: do you think Greta Gerwig will ever scale back and make something small like this again, um, or do you think it's just going to be Barbies and Narnias from now on? If so, how do you feel about that?
Um, I I do think she's gonna scale back at some point. I think that all directors kind of have their ebb and flow, or all great directors, I should say, that have the opportunity to make big movies like Barbie or Narnia, have also have the opportunity to go back to making small movies. And I think that, you know, you want to keep the um keep the output pretty diverse, I think, as a director. Um,
Absolutely.
it's not really that fun to tell the same story over and over again. Not that all big movies are the same, but like the general workflow is probably the same. And I think as a director, you might appreciate the change of pace and making something smaller, more intimate, contrasted with something that's very big and action heavy. Um, but yeah, I do think she returns to making stuff that's close to this. The second part of your question, would I be cool with her directing really big movies that cost a lot of money all the time? I think that she is a great filmmaker, so I would be cool with anything she makes. Um, she's obviously a writer on that new Snow White movie. I don't really know what's going on there, but
You're watching that?
I, we're not watching that. Um, yeah, we will not be there for Snow
Unless
White.
this episode gets 1 million views.
Yeah, if this episode gets 1 million views, we'll watch Snow White and review it on the pod. Um,
If this episode gets 1 million views, I'll pay to watch it 10 times and watch it 10 times.
yeah, if this episode gets 1 million views, I will. Yeah, I'll pay for 15 tickets and do
I'll
a
go to the premiere.
backflip in the theater. Yeah, um, yeah, I'll even watch Narnia on Netflix like 70. I'll I'll play it and pause it 1 million times so Netflix gets those you know numbers up,
Those
I
red
guess.
notice numbers.
Yeah, those red notice numbers, back out of it. Yeah, you think like Ted Sarandos is like on his Netflix like day one drops like clicking on and off of movies like
If they're
boosting the
not fudging
numbers.
the numbers, they have to have bot farms or something.
Yeah, it's probable, honestly.
I mean, granted, I watched Red Notice 10 times on 10 different devices, but
Yeah. Same. I had it on the TV, and then you got to have it on the Nintendo Switch right next to it. You got to have
absolutely
it on
the
the
Apple
laptop.
Watch.
Yeah, the Apple Watch and Red Notice on the Apple Watch is crazy.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's been Red Notice. Yeah, no, that's been Lady Bird, a much better film. We love Greta Gerwig. I have one final question for you, Norman.
Oh my
Is
goodness.
this a classic?
After all of our deliberation and me saying it at the start, absolutely, this is a classic by definition. Um, Obviously, it's a little strange to say that about a movie that came out a little less than or a little over 7 years ago, but it feels like a classic now, which I just imagine it'll feel more and more like a classic, more and more like a time capsule of the 2000s, which already feels so long ago. Um, we're getting old, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think this is definitely a classic without conversation. I'm going to assume you feel the same.
I feel the
It's the
same.
movie you picked for the week. So
Yeah.
it better be a classic.
Yeah. It's definitely a classic in my eyes, too.
Yeah, it's a good one.
There you have it. Lady Bird is a classic on Sneaking Into the Classics. I've been Max.
I've been Norman. Go watch Lady Bird. Don't watch Red Notice.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye bye.